lots of thoughts trying to come out at the same time. But,
How can you vote Labour after this? So, let's talk about what Keir Starmer's government really stands for. And from where I'm sitting, it looks less like a government for working people and more like a hit list against the most vulnerable in society.
Kind of handbrake turn by a government in the middle of governing, changing direction. And I think it is changing. You talk about blue Labour. It is changing in a kind of blue Labour direction. But what I mean by that is an absolute primary focus on poorer and middle-class white voters who have felt excluded by metropolitan political life for a very long time and are in revolt, and it's trying to answer their problems in a way that many people will see as quite conservative.
But how much of a radical shift is it? Because, yes, you mentioned the videos of migrants being deported this week, and some people in the Labour Party really didn't like that at all. But during the election campaign, we did have Keir Starmer talking about immigration. He knew that it's something he had to tackle. He's toughened up the language. Is it really a radical shift?
Yes, it is a radical shift because it's not just the videos. If you look at the new advice that's gone out to Home Office officials dealing with migrants, the advice now is that anybody who comes here illegally, anyone who comes here by a dangerous route will never get British citizenship, will never get a British passport. And as the Labour MP Stella Creasy pointed out yesterday, that means Paddington wouldn't have got a passport. This is going to go quite deep into the Labour Party's instincts.
Not sure that's a terribly strong argument. A fictitious bear from Peru.
Well, it's the best I could manage earlier on a cold morning. But
it's not yours. It's her argument. I'm not sure.
Nevertheless, I think that, one of the many ironies here is that this is very much aimed, the new mood is very much aimed at an excessively legalist, progressive world mindset, the so-called North London lawyer mindset. And who is the ultimate North London lawyer? It is, of course, the Prime Minister. And he's seen his best mate, Richard Hermer, the Attorney General, under ferocious attack from all sides over issues around migration, but also, of course, the Chagos Islands issue we've talked about before. And so he must be looking in the mirror thinking, who am I really?
Do you think, talking about Richard Hermer, the Attorney General, Rachel, our colleague, wrote yesterday after PMQs that he does now appear to be the Prime Minister's biggest weakness. Of course, we had Lord Glassman, Maurice Glassman, speak to George earlier in the week, who called him a progressive fool and that he had to go. Do you agree that this is now a problem?
Yeah, I do. I do think also that the Prime Minister is a man of some sort of stubbornness about these things.
They've gone after the pensioners by messing with the winter fuel payments. They've gone after children by keeping the cruel two-child benefit cap in place, even though it drives families in work into poverty. And now they're coming for disabled people. They are now the new nasty party. So that's pensioners, children and the disabled, but it's like Labour is working through society's most vulnerable group one at a time. How can we make life that little bit harder for these people? That is what they're asking. And it doesn't stop there. They've slashed foreign aid, money that could have gone to Ukrainian refugees or humanitarian relief in Gaza. Instead, they're ramping up defence spending and still supplying parts for Israeli jets while thousands of innocent civilians are being bombed. What happened to Labour's morality? And about the disabled, the government initially planned to freeze personal independence payments, which is already woefully inadequate. Even after receiving it, disabled households still face about £1,000 a month in extra costs. Thankfully, though, that's off the table. But not because Labour grew a fucking conscience, but because ministers threatened to resign. MPs started panicking, and it was an internal rebellion, not compassion, that stopped it. What is the new plan? They're raising the eligibility threshold instead. Translation: over 600,000 disabled people will lose, on average, £675 a month. Most of the cuts will hit the people in the poorest half of society. Many won't be able to afford the basics needed for independence, mobility aids, care support, transport, etc. And it's beyond cruel. Now, Labour are spinning this as reform. Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, has even implied that there's an overdiagnosis of mental health conditions. Right, a guy with a history degree is now diagnosing a nation. Thankfully, Susanna Reid, of all people, cut through the noise on Laura Koonsberg's show, pointing out that people with terminal cancer or serious mental health conditions are living in fear that their lifeline, PIP, is about to be yanked away. And let's follow the money. Wes Streetings, our NHS top man, has taken 6% of his donations from individuals and companies linked to private healthcare. So maybe we should be asking, who's writing the checks and what are they getting in return? Even John McDonnell, who was booted from Labour's front bench for voting against benefit cuts, has warned this surge in people claiming welfare due to mental health isn't about people faking it. It's a direct result of a decade of austerity. Support systems are gutted, especially for young people, and now we're paying the price, literally. Labour's answer to all this is not taxing the wealthy, not closing loopholes, no wealth tax, no. They've instead adopted arbitrary fiscal rules from the Tories, rules that force cuts on disabled people, kids, pensioners, while billionaires, as per usual, get away scot-free. And at some point you've got to ask, what is the point of this Labour government? They've abandoned the principles that the party was built on in the first place since the days of Keir Hardie. And even if they're not willing to tax wealth, invest in people, or stand up to private interests, what are they here for? What are they doing in the first place? What is Keir Starmer actually doing? But let me know what you think in the comments. I've been Jake from Just Jake. As always, subscribe to the channel and follow the Facebook page. You actually made it to the end of the video. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, which, why haven't you already, is somewhere over there. And also, if you want to watch more videos, also check out over there. I've been Jake from Just Jake. See you later.